city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I can go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I can go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. First off, K-Dot, I want to thank you. I want to thank Ridge Wear Your Helmet At for carrying, well, really just you, for carrying the show this past week for the last two episodes. Watched both of them. Loved them both. The solo one in particular, 27 minutes going solo. Just very, very impressive. Wanted to give you your kudos right there. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I will admit, 10 seconds in, I was wondering if you still were Ridge Wear Your Helmet At. I guess I'm slightly racist, but it's glad to have you back, bud. I'm so glad. I'm really, really happy you're back. I will admit the 27-minute pod, I could have went an hour and 27 minutes. I like talking. I realize that you know what? There's been so much anybody wants to hear from me solo. I need my guy. And we're back.
Dude, I'm so glad to be back. I really appreciate it. And I definitely miss doing the pod, but there was a pretty fun element of there's a new District Divided. I wonder what happened. I wonder what was said. It was pretty exciting to do it from the fan perspective. I even almost commented on both the videos and then was like, you know what? It's fine. Also a bit of a dodgy internet connection there in India. But guys, this is the Giants preview episode. We actually play them back to back, but there is a bye week in between. So this is a huge game. As you guys know, it's the 7-4 New York Giants who have lost 3 of their last 4 against the 7-5 Washington Commanders, 3rd against 4th. Would you believe it? In the NFC East, the records are outstanding right now across the board over there. So we are going to jump into that preview. We'll begin with the Giants offense against the Commanders defense. We'll then flip the script and talk about the Giants defense against the Commanders offense. We will, of course, conclude with our predictions. We jump into the comment mailbag, and we have the after the pod as we always do. So, K-Dot, are you ready?
I am ready.
Let's jump into it then. The Giants offense led by Daniel Jones, who has had a pretty good year overall, honestly, considering the Giants' expectations entering the season. They have, of course, Saquon, Barkley, and then they have a bunch of basically no-name wide receivers, but it seems to be working for them overall. So this Giants offense is up and down. It's the defense that's a bit more the strength, and we'll get into that. But, K-Dot, before we even get into the matchup with the Commanders' defense, what are your thoughts on the Giants' offense?
Giants offense, the scrappy guys, right? Like, it's really the success that they've had on offense all year has been built around the resurgence of Saquon Barkley, kind of being back in the fold and running a lot better than he had last year, where there was a huge criticism, at least from me, that he was always looking for the home run instead of taking the yards that the defense was giving them. And I think Brian Daboll coming in there, instituting his offense and getting Saquon on the right track has really been the thing. And beyond that, it's Daniel Jones and limiting the mistakes and the errors from him. He's got, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's not lighting the world on fire as far as throwing the football, but it's almost like they have a nerdier version of Taylor Heinicke in what it is they're asking Daniel Jones to do. No one thinks he's an absolute world beater of a quarterback. He's had his moments. He's had great games, including a couple against us historically. But the thing is that offense is about, hey, time possession, run the ball with Saquon, limit Daniel's mistakes, and take your shots when you need to take them.
Yeah, and even run the ball with Daniel, who has a number of attempts each game. I believe he's 5th in rushing amongst all quarterbacks. So we got to
450 yards on the ground.
There you go. And so you're going to have to look out for him after Mariota actually had a decent sort of game on the ground. And here we are again with another mobile quarterback. And by the way, we talked about the Philadelphia Eagles game sort of setting up really well for us, right? You throw the records out. It's an NFC East battle. You do the same thing here. It is another NFC East divisional game. These teams know each other. And Daniel Jones loves a game against our franchise. He is 4-1 in those games. And that one loss, that was the Taylor Heinicke game on the Thursday night. He had to start his first game with Ryan Fitzpatrick getting hurt. It was a pretty crazy and wild game with a wild ending where, we missed that field goal. We get another chance at it because of I believe it was a maybe phantom offside, or it was just barely offside. Regardless, or neutral zone infraction. We get another shot. We score. I mean, he could have been 5-0 against this team. So Daniel Jones, whether he's going through struggles, whether he's having a good set of games, he always gets up against this team. He's got 9 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in those games. He's also been able to run effectively against us. So the most recently 9 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown. Daniel Jones, for whatever reason, seems to look like Michael Vick or Peyton Manning. You take your pick. This guy looks really, really good against us. What do we need to do to slow him down?
I will say that some of the stats is the biggest thing on that stat record to me is the win and losses. If you really look at it, some of the totals are kind of skewed because of a couple really, really big games. Yeah, like yes. I think it was like a 5 touchdown game, one game against us in the air, and then he had another really, really good game on the ground. So I don't want the narrative to be that Daniel Jones is this world-beating Commanders quarterback guy. I want to push back on everybody with that shit because to me, you create that sort of narrative, you get people believing it. Maybe you get the team believing it. I want to throw that out.
And they do watch. So you're right.
Right. We know they're watching. We know Jack Del Rio has paid attention.
Scott Turner
we know
certainly does as well. Yeah,
100%. When it comes to Daniel Jones, though, usually if you're looking at the Commanders' defense, pretty much all season, other than the what was it, week 2 or something against Jalen, we've done a pretty good job against running quarterbacks, and that was up until last week with Marcus Mariota. The Falcons ran roughshod over us as far as what it is they were able to do yards per carry. They were averaging over 5, and they had 3 guys who were able to eat whenever they wanted to. There'd be Tyler Algier or whatever, Algier, whatever pronounce his name, Cordarrelle, and Marcus Mariota. Look, I don't know what that was, which scares me, right? I don't know. Atlanta's rushing attack is world beating. I think they're number 1 in the league, or at least top 3, top 4, as far as the amount of times that they run it, and that's what they're going to do all day long, right? They're not with the Kyle Pitts is gone. They're not throwing the ball downfield,
right?
With this New York team, before last week, I'm saying we're ascending, and we are going to be able to get these Giants exactly where it is. We're going to have something for these Giants as far as what it is that they excel at, right? But the anomaly that was last week, I don't know if did they not game plan for Marcus Mariota on the ground? That seems a little weird to me.
Yeah, so I have a take on that, which is that I think the Falcons have so little faith in their ability to pass the ball, right? That they go, we have to run no matter what. Even if it is ineffective, we just have to stick to it. And I see the Giants in sort of a similar mold here, right? Like you have a Saquon Barkley. He's clearly your most talented player on either side of the ball. Right. He's had 35 carries in a game before, so they have no hesitations just giving it to him as much as possible. And then Daniel Jones will have anywhere from 3 to 9 carries as well. So I see them doing something similar. They also got some extra rest because they played on Thanksgiving. I could easily see them going, we're just going to run, and we're going to do that over and over, even if it's initially ineffective, because it will eventually become effective, sort of kind of how it was for Atlanta as well. Although for them, I think it was pretty effective from the get-go.
That's the thing. The effectiveness is what gets it, right? We've had some teams that stick with the run, but as long as we've been able to keep them in check and eventually getting a turnover, things like that, it's worked out in our favor, which is something that we've also been fairly good at recently as far as generating turnovers in each of the games. But that's the thing that I'm just not sure. Before last week, if you told me, can we keep Saquon Barkley in check? I'd say absolutely. Can we keep Daniel Jones in check? I'd say absolutely. I don't know if what happened last week was an anomaly, or is it something that we're not necessarily seeing. I did see on the defensive line, it looked like guys were pursuing in the pass rush, getting too far downfield than what it is they needed to be disciplined. And the linebacker play, I mean, we barely have linebackers out there at times, but the linebacker play left a lot to be desired. They weren't there to fill those gaps at all. There were sometimes you could look like you were driving a Mack truck through the sons of bitches. Like, it reminded me, I was actually watching the game with a few friends, and years ago, side tangent, I was in Wisconsin, and I was there for the Wisconsin-Indiana game. This is like back in 2010 or something, but it was a final score I think of like 80 something points. It was a world break. It was a record for the Big Ten as far as it. But the thing that I remember more than anything else, I think Monty Ball was the running back for.
Oh yeah, yes he was.
You look like you could drive a fucking Mack truck through those holes. And that the thing was in that game against Atlanta, like fucking Moses part of the Red Sea, and it was, what do you want to do with it? I'm really hoping it's an anomaly because it's that this could be a long day. Saquon Barkley is more talented than anybody Atlanta has in that backfield. And I trust Daniel Jones's legs, especially historically against us, more than I trust Marcus Mariota doing anything. So, yeah, we got to get back to fundamental football, guys.
100%. Are you worried about their receivers at all?
No.
Yeah, same. This really is. So we're seeing it the same way, right? Like we really are going, okay, we need to stop the run. We harp on this over and over and over. You want to stop the run, obviously, but more so in this game because it would then play to a significant weakness and something that the Giants don't want to do, which is throw. So if you can get them into 3rd and long, this isn't like a situation with the Eagles where if they get into 3rd and long, they still feel pretty confident. They've gotten A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, now an IR, of course, but it's not like that. So it's very, very important that on those first 2 downs, it's okay to commit to the run and almost make Daniel Jones beat you right through the air.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at also the Daniel Jones, other than last week, he's been sacked 33 times this year. Like, you can get to him. And that's the thing is you want to put this game in Daniel Jones' hands and those receivers that we know they don't even trust to try to get the job done. Like, look, another thing in that Atlanta game was you had a lot of situations where those receivers were just dropping shit, right? Mariota put the ball right where it needed to be and it just weren't getting completions. I'd say you don't hope for that. That's not something you plan on defense. You like to stop them there. But I think New York will probably have the exact same luck as far as that shit goes anyway. Let Daniel Jones beat you. Those receivers, they're not world beaters.
They're not at all. And so just quickly wrapping up this side of the ball, St. Just has not practiced the last couple days. Chase Young has in a limited capacity. Do you think he plays, K-Dot, or do you think we've got the bye right after this? Do you think maybe we rest him?
I rest him.
That bye week. I'm in the same boat. I completely agree.
And that turf at the Meadowlands is has gotten a rap of being really bad as far as injuries go. He's already got to play at FedEx Field, which hasn't been great as far as grass goes anyway. Let's limit that. Give him another week to feel fully healthy. I know earlier this week, or it was late last week, he was dealing with what seemed like flu-like symptoms. Just give him another day to rest. I mean, in all honesty, you're at a particular point in time where unless we're really making this playoff push, which we are, I am almost okay with shutting him down for the rest of the year.
So I wouldn't go that far. I understand where you're coming from.
No.
I think this is one of those situations where if we are being careful with when he comes back, the last place I want to put him is in a road game in the division.
Yeah.
And we're certainly trying to figure out that chemistry all over again. Chemistry on a defensive line is incredibly important. And I know the players know Chase and stuff like that. It has been a long time since he's played football. So I would rather almost have him be a rotational player for that first game.
Oh, absolutely.
And why not have it be at home, right? With your home crowd that's pumped. It's like Chase Young's first game back. And we'll have that same opportunity against this Giant squad in just a couple weeks. So we're on the same page there.
Absolutely.
Any final thoughts before we flip the script here?
Stop the fucking run, man. That Atlanta game, throw that shit out.
Yep. Absolutely throw that shit out. And hopefully we do. So now let's talk about the Commanders offense led by Taylor Heinicke, led by Brian Robinson Jr., led by Terry McLaurin against this Giants defense, who surprisingly talented. I think when you think of the New York Giants, you think entering the season, last place, or maybe second to last. But here they are, actually technically in second to last in the NFC East, but with a really good record. And they have surprised some teams, and they've surprised some people in the media and some fans of theirs and stuff like that, because the defense has played really, really well. It's not that this Giants offense has been playing at a spectacular level. This defense has allowed the offense to stay in games. It has allowed Daniel Jones to have 5 comeback drives, game-winning comeback drives this season. So not a lot of spectacular names, but talented and playing well. What are your thoughts on the Giants defense here, K-Dot?
Scrappy. The if we're looking at them overall, they're actually a lot better than I think most people know they are, at least against
Yep.
the against the pass. They've been fairly decent against the pass. I know the top half of the league there. The running attack is where it gets a little iffy for them, right? And yeah, we're definitely looking at the teams overall, and like you could say the same thing as far as their offense, but let's just keep it to defense. They are not necessarily they're the polar opposite of what's happening with us, right? The Giants started off higher than anybody would have ever expected them to be, right? Like they were right there sitting behind Philadelphia, like one loss up until week 8.
I think they were
of the
like
fucking
6-1 or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, they were there.
They were right there. Like the only loss they had at that point was against Dallas. And what you look back on the schedule, very similar to our schedule, same fucking division, and you start realizing, oh, they beat that team, they beat this team.
Like the Packers, for example. It looked like a huge win, and then you see the Packers now.
Ravens win still looks pretty good, but I don't know what they're doing.
Our Eagles win looks pretty good. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
so
right.
team-
So exactly. So, but if you're looking at what the overall vibe is for the team, they are going down while we're kind of ascending, right? So, like you look at, they gave up 31 points to Detroit. They have 28 points to Dallas. Before then, even though it was a win, they gave up 16 points to the Texans, and the Texans are the worst goddamn football team I've seen.
Horrible.
They're just dog shit. So, like, if I'm looking at this is one of those games where you look at that on paper and you say, huh, well, if you look at the Washington offense, who's the guy that's been getting better every single week? Brian motherfucking Robinson. He had a 100-yard game last week. You got a New York Giants team that gave him 169 on the ground against Dallas. I know that people want to look to the Tony Pollard thing because he averaged under 5 yards a carry, but Ezekiel Elliott looked like he was 3 years younger in that fucking game, right? So with that attack that they had against them, they were able to run roughshod all over him. I think that goes back into, hey, that rushing defense is not that great. Fundamental football, stick to it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I just wanted to say that it's 5.2. So it's not just they're not that good against the run. 5.2 yards a carry, that's good for third to last, 30th in the NFL in terms of yards a pop that they're giving up. So this does play into our hands all over again. We talked about it with Philadelphia, right? How do we attack them? Well, it's going to be time of possession. It's going to be short first downs, right? Keeping it at third and short to be able to get as many first downs as possible. This isn't a situation where you're keeping the Giants offense off the field. You go at whatever pace you feel like going at. But this is, once again, an opportunity for this offense to be able to run the ball, which is exactly what we want to do. And it also helps put Taylor Heinicke in a position where he is just attempting to play mistake-free and making the occasional throw to Terry. Let's talk about him, because against the Atlanta Falcons, look, I only saw a couple drives with that sort of dodgy internet connection I had at my grandpa's place, but the 2 drives I saw, Heinicke looked, I'll be honest, and I love Heinicke, he looked bad. One of those was with 24 seconds left. We had 3 timeouts. We had just turned over the Falcons. He had 2 check down options open, and I don't think he ever got off his first read. And you see that throw, which is the easiest interception. And I still don't know what went through his head for that. So let's talk about him. What are your expectations for this game, first and foremost? And then secondly, let's say he doesn't meet those expectations and we lose and we're heading into the bye. Okay, that may be a conversation for maybe the end of this segment. But let's begin with the first part. What are your expectations of Taylor Heinicke for this game?
I'm rooting for him. And I think Taylor, if he stays within himself and we run the ball the way we need to, he could have success in the sense of we get a win at the end of this thing, right? But when it comes down to it and you have to rely on him making these throws, the Giants' pass defense is better than Atlanta's. They will make you pay. Dak Prescott threw 2 interceptions last game against them. Even though they won the game, they still threw 2 picks. And I'm sorry, but our offense is not clicking like Dallas's is. We can't afford one or two interceptions and expecting to get out of this thing, right? If it wasn't for that interception at the end of that game last week, what are we really looking at? What are we talking about today? So I get it. Things bounce a certain way, but I mean, when you're playing with these one possession victories, last second victories, the pendulum will swing both fucking ways. Now it's been on our side for a while now this season, but it'll go the other fucking way. And the thing that I'm looking at with Taylor is that, like, look, we love the fuck it, throw it, Terry's downfield somewhere. But think about the rest of the offense and where it is that we were. Jahan Dotson's been back. I can't tell. Like, there is an element of he's getting Terry the ball, right? But the rest of the offense is not necessarily clicking the ball downfield the way they need to, right? Like, he got a great pass in there, the John Bates, but after the last two passes before that, the John Bates was sailing way over him. Like, there were so many of those times where you're looking and you're like, damn, Taylor, can you do this? Can you do that? Don't do that. And then, as you said, I showed the replacements clip at the end in the pod,
which was fantastic, by the way. I replayed that like 6 or 7 times. It was awesome.
I appreciate it. What the fuck were you looking at? It didn't. You throw one of those and you're just like, hold on, what? It doesn't look like anybody ran a wrong route. What were you?
I didn't see anybody.
There's nobody.
That was my thing. I legitimately just saw 3 Falcons there, and that was it.
I think he literally just forgot what uniform we were wearing. Like, I didn't understand it at all. And look, man, we're at a position, we're at a point right now that, look, when you run the football, you play past you get the rushing attack going. You're in a standpoint where you can win any game. Any given Sunday, it's the NFL, right? If you stick to those two things, you have a recipe for success can come your way, regardless of whatever else is happening, right?
Right.
But the margin of error is so small when that's the way that you're doing things. You're talking about limiting offenses to certain non-possession. You can't make mistakes. Like, we've gotten the fumble thing sort of under control. Like, the Antonio Gibson's a fumbler, that narrative should die. It's painful, really quick death now.
I completely agree with you there. I just want to quickly note, because it's a pretty smooth transition. Antonio Gibson went from limited on Wednesday to did not practice Thursday. So that is just something we need to monitor, because we talk about being able to run the ball. I think Gibson and Robinson together have been spectacular. Maybe spectacular is a bit strong. They've been really good and really efficient together. So if he can't go, it's just more on the plate of Brian Robinson and Jonathan Williams as well. And also Trey Turner has not practiced the last couple. Please continue with your point.
No, yeah, you're right. And J.D. McKissick got thrown on IR a few weeks back. So Jonathan Williams is the guy. He looked fairly decent in the small amount of carries that he had in this last game. But missing an Antonio Gibson as far as that change of pace sort of back hurts. If you look at the success that we were just talking about when it came to what Dallas had against New York last week, that was Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott are two very different running backs. And I think what the recipe for success was, Ezekiel got to eat because they were more positioned to stop a Tony Pollard, but keeping them on guessing, it was, holy shit, what the fuck are we expecting? And one of those guys ate. I think if you just have Brian Robinson rushing the ball, while I do like the punch you in your mouth power football, and it can mean a lot, it does hurt not being able to have the change of pace of Antonio Gibson, which puts more of the pressure on Taylor Heinicke to not make the mistakes that he has been making.
Right.
We need more out of the quarterback position.
We do. I also just want to say that I think this could be a week you see even more Curtis Samuel running the ball, right? Because this would be a situation where you go, okay, Gibson's gone. They're kind of comparable, right? They're able to receive out of the backfield. They're able to run effectively. Now, of course, Samuel's not in the backfield nearly as much, but this might be a game where you lean on him a lot more in the run game, depending on your trust level with Jonathan Williams. So just something to keep in mind for the game. If you see a lot of Curtis Samuel, I think it's probably because the team trusts him a lot, and he has run quite well, whenever his number's been called there. But I wanted to go back
Yeah.
to your Jahan Dotson thing. We need to get him the ball. Absolutely, because I think you're beginning to see teams go, okay, Taylor legitimately is, regardless of game plan, throwing to Terry and almost exclusively Terry. So if Jahan's not getting it, we could be in big trouble. So it's just something I wanted to note.
Yeah. If I'm looking at Jahan since he's been back, where are we at? Since he got back in week 10, he has a grand total of 4 targets, 2 catches, 27 yards.
Not good enough.
We're talking about a guy who when he went down in week 4 was leading all rookie receivers in touchdowns. I think he was second in the league in touchdowns.
I think he had 4 at that point.
Yep. The boy was balling. And I think the thing that we've got to look at more than anything is I just said the only thing I've said so far is that we need more out of the quarterback position. I'm not throwing Taylor Heinicke away, but I am saying that I need it to get better. I need you to start hitting these guys down the field. And look, Terry McLaurin is a 50-50 is a 50-50 ball maverick. He's a guru. He's a genius at the shit, right? But what does that mean? He's a 50-50 ball. That means all you got to do is look in his general fucking direction and toss the ball up. It's not about placement, really. It's just toss the fucking ball up in his general vicinity.
I agree. I just want to say that to me, it's particularly important that Heinicke plays well, and most importantly, we win, because while maybe he had a poor performance last week, I still don't think it necessarily means Carson is better for this team. I think we both agree.
I want it for the record.
What's our counter?
I have not
what's our
said his name.
I know you're not. You're banned from saying his name. But it is one of those things where I think you easily think the grass is greener on the other side. I think just about every NFL team that doesn't officially have that guy always has that conversation with their backup. I mean, you even heard the number of times Sam Howell's name came up, right? It's just the nature of the beast when you don't have an established starter. So to me, it's very important Taylor plays well. It's very important that we win, because if he plays poorly and we lose, I know this coaching staff will definitely, again, Ron Rivera cited winning as the reason that Taylor kept the job. If he loses, and then we have this exact same Giants team after a bye, which is a perfect time to make a switch at QB if you want to. And this coaching staff made that decision, if you believe them and not the whole Dan Snyder stuff, to bring in he who must not be named. So we'll see what ends up happening over there. Any final thoughts on the offense? We're both agreeing, run the ball and just play efficiently at the quarterback position.
I'm about to name him. Should I save that?
I saw your wheels turning over there. By all means, my friend.
Carson Wentz and Taylor Heinicke have both started 6 games for Washington this year. Same sample size.
Okay.
Think some things stick out. Carson Wentz thrown for 300 more yards. He's thrown for 3 more touchdowns. He's thrown for 1 more interception. As far as Carson Wentz over Taylor. The biggest glaring thing, 23 sacks to 9. And that was the thing that was huge. And that's the one number that you look at and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck, right? But I think what we're starting to boil it down to, at least for me, is that when you had a guy who showed up, not necessarily knowing the offense, an offense that everyone that you've ever heard talk about says that it's hard to kind of figure out, right? And there's not a lot of movement or wiggle room on the way it's going to be implemented. You didn't have a rushing attack because the guy who's ascending and getting better each week was suffering from very recent gunshot wounds. You had an offensive line that every time they got trotted out there was different. And you had a defense at the beginning of the year, which we were calling for Jack Del Rio's head.
Yeah, it was a different team.
Now, if I'm going also what I said a couple minutes ago, the thing more than anything that makes Taylor Heinicke is his want and desire to throw the ball to Terry McLaurin and to do so effectively. But once again, let's just keep it logic and keep everything my emotion on this. This is why I'm trying to keep very medium through this segment.
I admire what you're doing right now because I see the emotion wanting to spill out.
Yeah, it's there.
Go ahead.
Terry McLaurin is the best 50-50 ball receiver in the league, which means all you have to do is throw it his way. And more often than not, he's going to make it happen.
That's all Carson's ever had to do. All right, cool. Let's move on to the prediction segment where, believe it or not, the Commanders are favored on the road by 1.5 points.
Nope.
The over-under is 40.5. K-Dot, as always, I'm going to need your score, winner, and player of the game.
I don't want to do this, and I feel like it's going to get into the larger narrative. But once again, I'm staying fucking medium. God damn it.
Stay medium.
I had us splitting the games with the Giants this year. I'm keeping that same energy. I don't know what the hell happened in certain aspects of that Atlanta Falcons game, and it kind of concerns me. I also look at the pass defense of New York and being like, these are guys that can bait this dude into something. I know that people have also looked at some of the success. I think it's Bradbury had, or whoever. No, they have Bradbury's there. Never mind. I'm going Commanders lose this game, and I think it helps the team overall. I'm going to go final score of 17-14. Giants win on a last-second field goal, or they go up on a field goal, and then Taylor Heinicke throws a pick on our fucking game-winning drive.
I am also. I was surprised when I saw this line. Honestly, I know that the Giants have been struggling recently.
Yep.
But I think NFC East games, we've seen it so many times. You can get a pretty decent sense over time. I mean, even the way we were talking about the Eagles. Now, neither of us, and to Ridge where your helmet's at credit, he picked the Eagles. We said exactly what needed to happen, and it all happened.
Right.
For Washington to win. This seems like a game that New York needs a bit more than us. As weird as that sounds, like we need it. But because we're winning so much, I think there may be a bit of this feel good. I'm worried we're going to come into touch relaxed. Too relaxed, I mean. Relaxed is not a bad thing, but a bit too relaxed. And I am nervous about Heinicke in this game. The Giants, from a passer rating perspective, on average, give up an 87.5. That is really, really good, guys. So I am going to go ahead and say they do stop the run in one of those weird games. You see 5.2 yards a pop and you go, okay, we can do it. And suddenly we can't for some reason. And I don't see Taylor having a good enough game. And in fact, probably even a couple turnovers that sort of shoot us in the foot. I think we get a field goal or touchdown late to make it look closer than it is. I'm not sure this is a particularly close game all through. I've got the Giants 20, Commanders like 14. No, you know what? I'll make it a weird score, like 15. Maybe we go for 2 for some really bizarre reason. 20-15 seems just like a correct random ass score for this game. And the player of the game, I think, is going to be Daniel Jones. I think he's going to be efficient enough. I think he's not going to turn it over maybe once, but I really don't see it just because he loves a game against us. And I also, if we win, I also want to say this. If we did win, we're sweeping them. Plain and simple. And then I think we set up really, really well for that playoff push because we've still got tough games against Dallas, San Francisco. Like, it is still a very hard schedule. We've gone through that easier, softer belly that we've talked about, that you've talked about specifically. But we need these games. If we win, we sweep them. If we lose, I can see a split. I can also see a quarterback change.
Yeah, I'm putting on everything you can. We're winning the second game. But
okay.
I definitely have the game close to you. I'll agree with you with Daniel Jones. I do think we have a recipe for success, and a win would not be crazy. But if you put a gun in my head, I'm going New York this game just because I do think we split, and the story makes sense. They get this win against us, then they get the doors blown off of them against Philly the following week, and then that's when it starts falling apart for New York.
It just seems like a peak NFC East narrative. like
Yep.
this type of situation. It's at the Meadow. Like I don't like the feel of this game.
Yeah.
That's just where I'm at. But once again, and I have picked the opponent a few times and have been proven wrong, and have been thrilled about it. So hopefully we got one more in us. So we're gonna move on to the comment mailbag now, where we have 2 comments. We originally had 4, and I don't know, Blood Clot, you had a couple, but it seems like they just disappeared. I don't know if you chose to delete the. I think it's YouTube. I think YouTube screwed you, Blood Clot.
I think I saw as much as 5 at one point.
Well, then YouTube clearly doesn't like the comment mailbag because it's doing so damn well.
Keep
I don't
us
know what
down,
that's
man.
about.
You fucked up shit.
What else is new? All right, well, let's go ahead and see the 2 surviving ones, both from Tony.
Tony.
Shout out Tony P56. First comment reads, "We won this game in spite of Heinicke's meh play at quarterback. Carson Wentz may be the better QB today with the O-line playing as one unit and the defense playing better, but he's still missing that X factor." I was going to say before reading that he's still missing that X factor, could have sworn K-Dot was about to reveal himself as Tony P56. We really appreciate the comment over there. But yeah, he is missing that X factor. But I mean, I completely agree with Tony's comment. We did win that game in spite of Heinicke. The defense forced that turnover at the very end.
My opinion has not changed. And
you sound like a politician under fire.
Everybody knows what. Like, I don't want to be hated by everybody again, and I'm not doing I told you so bit because I don't feel that confident in it. I'm just saying there is something to seeing that man play again. That's it. That's all I'm saying. There's.
All right. And then we got one more comment. This one I particularly enjoyed. Tony once again says, "Did Amit have a spiritual awakening and decide to stay in India? I am back in the friendly confines of my place. But here's more. K-Dot, if Amit was kidnapped in India, would you make an effort to raise the ransom money?" I'm also particularly interested in your answer to that question.
All right, so ransom money. So
it is layered. Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing. So like if it's ransom money, I don't know if I could start a GoFundMe for ransom money. Or like I could, but the United States government probably get involved and say, "Hey, you did not negotiate." But I don't know what the deal is there. But look, if I could go and start doing it, yeah, you'd see every Dish Divided episode would have a like a Cash App link to raise money for Amit. I'd have a GoFundMe. I'd make really sad videos with Sarah McLachlan music. I'd do the whole 9. Now, I will admit also, though, and this is just, you take it for what it is, the Indian population is 1.3 billion people. You're a lost fucking cause. The money's going to me. So...
you know what I could see? You raising the necessary money and then being like, "Oh, they asked for more than that," and just lying to everybody and being like, "I guess it's just got to stay here, but we really appreciate the family." Now, here's where I was sort of thinking, first off, you got to raise the ransom money. This to me was an economics question, right? Okay, so first I'm looking at rupees to US dollar. The rupee is falling right now. Okay, so I'm going, okay, this should be pretty easy to raise. Then you think about how much healthcare typically costs, how much the average, we're talking GDP, we're talking Indian GDP over here. I think you could raise this because I don't think they would actually ask for that much when you convert it to USD. So I think I'm affordable. Now the question is, here's the big question, because Tony's comment, you talk about a spiritual awakening. How about an economic awakening over here? Do I have to pay you back? So let's say it was your money, right? And let's say it was 10,000 US dollars. I have no idea. I would probably go for less. But am I then, I think I'm on the hook to then pay you, right? Because you paid your money. And what if I go, I wouldn't have paid 10K for me? Like that becomes an interesting thing, right?
I guess so. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's the terrorist organization Flaming Dawn or Flaming Dragon has asked for $150,000 of U.S. currency for Amit to be returned safely. Just so happens what I know that nobody else knows is Flaming Dragon doesn't exist, and $150,000 is going to your boy, not some make-believe shit. You're gone. It's over. will grieve for you.
And
Don't worry
that's
about
why-
owing anybody money, bud.
That's why I was
There's
worried
no
about
coming back.
Ridge wear your helmet at, because I actually think he did a pretty decent job in the guest spot, and I was like, shit.
Yeah, we just call him
am,
Amit.
I am replaceable. Oh yeah, no, it almost worked. He was called Brown Stuff, and I was like, shit, that applies to both. I mean, there was a whole lot going on during that episode for me.
Slip Ridge $50. I'm sure he'll be happy with it, and then we're good to go.
More than
And
that. That's
then-
why we're
and-
boys, is because he would get that.
Look, in 3-4 months of us doing the show, when Widge goes on one of his overseas trips again, just so happens he got lost in Colombia, and they're asking for $200,000.
But you know, he's getting lost in the Latinas, as he had mentioned in that episode.
He
that
get
his
lost in
love
the
for-
goddamn trunk in the
he-
Bolivian jungle because your boy's collecting the money.
He literally would write to you somehow saying, "Don't pay it. I'm having a great time."
When you see the background of this dish divider is like a penthouse somewhere.
You use the ransom money to just upgrade your own.
This
living
just be a memorial plaque.
Absolute asshole. Absolute asshole. That being said, I respect it. I would try and find my way out and be like, dude, we swindled him. And then we would have to record from the penthouse. And you would have to record an apology to me.
Nah, here's the thing. You know what? Now I'm gonna incriminate myself. So I'm done.
You know what? That sounds like a great thing for after the pod. This was District Divided, a DC Sports Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. We are on twice a week, Fridays 2 p.m. and then Mondays day after, where we react to the game that occurred on Sunday. So we will see you guys on Monday. Thanks again for listening, and please like, comment in particular, subscribe, and share. So until then, we'll see you guys later after
Get
the
it
pod begins.
done, Taylor.
No. Go ahead and incriminate yourself.
Nah, I'm good.
What do you mean you're good? No, hold on. I gotta kick my feet up, dude. I'm so fucking tired.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I don't want to go to jail.
I don't want you to go to jail either. See, I think I care more about you than you care about me.
If there's money involved, probably.
Okay, cool. I'm good with that. All right, cool. Let's move on. So I got in at 6:30 this morning. The flight was 16 hours. You're still laughing at that, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm gauging how accurate, how real I think that is.
I think it's 100% real. I think it's 100% real. I think that's why it's a good bit, is because it's not a bit. It's just real. But sometimes the real things are the funny things, right? Like that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, got in at 7:30 or 6:30, sorry. 7:30, I leave the airport. There's so many, I have a Samsonite bag. There are so many Samsonite bags. So I'm like, I've pulled 3 of the wrong one, had to put it back on the conveyor belt. Like, nightmare scenario. The conveyor belt even breaks at one point. Whole thing's crazy. Get home 8:15, unpack, go grocery shopping, watch a bit of the World Cup, do the groceries, preview this game. I'm just like frantically looking up stats. Haven't had the chance to because we're spending, last few days with grandparents, stuff like that. Like, I need to take for this. And I don't think I've slept in 26 hours or something like that.
You're delirious?
Did you not hear me through this whole episode? Of course I'm delirious.
Yeah, so I was just confirming.
Yeah. So yeah. And so now I think the plan is go to the gym and then cook after.
Why the fuck are you going to gym?
I think it'll give me some energy. So
Why do you
now
need
the
energy?
idea is-
Do you work today?
yeah, I'm putting in work at the gym. That's
no.
what I'm
Do
saying.
you have to go to work? Do you have to do any actual work today?
No, I'm recording with you right now.
I'm editing the pod. Go to fuck to sleep.
No, because it is too soon. Then I'm going to be jet lagged for a while. So the key, K-Dot, is to stay awake until around 8 p.m.
Fuck that. Take
And
2 days to
then-
rest and recovery.
You don't seem to get this. So
No.
once I go to sleep at 8 p.m., I will probably wake up at 4 a.m. with tons of energy.
No,
That's
I'm just
just how
saying
it goes.
sleep through the next couple of days. Have a buffer day where you're feeling kind of
I will,
shitty. Your
I
sleep
will
schedule's
have the
all right.
buffer day.
And then Monday shows that you're great.
Oh, Monday I'm going to be spectacular no matter
That's what I'm saying.
But
But going to the gym right now, it just sounds dumb.
no, it's actually the smartest idea I've had.
Yeah, you're right. It probably might be smart, but I'm considering it dumb. It's like yeah, but you also like left up to your own right. You ran the entire length of fucking Rock Creek Park. Like I just I'm
Actually-
about rest and relaxation.
Yeah, if we do look at the after the pod history, I make some terrible decisions.
You make absolutely horrific decisions. Now, I will admit,
but I think that's why people like after the pod. Just to be clear, I've gotten a lot of feedback being like, "Oh, we really enjoy it."
I will admit, I
You're welcome.
barely played in the Thanksgiving football game.
Why didn't you play?
We don't play tackle. I think it's stupid. So
Yeah, but like just a. Anyway,
no, I played, but just barely.
okay.
So it was like, I'm not running here. I got this zone right here. Everyone know. I won't let you catch it in the zone, but you can run through it if you want to. Like that. That's what I did.
Love that.
And a couple catches on offense. Then I moved my girlfriend out of her apartment.
Oh, I thought on the football field.
No. She was there. She didn't play this year.
Okay.
My Achilles tendon is fucked. I don't know what it's from exactly, because after Thanksgiving, I felt some like foot pain.
Yeah.
But then after the move, like I felt okay. The last 3 days, I can barely fucking walk upstairs without being on my tippy toes. My Achilles are fucking done.
Dude, it's the nature of just getting older. And that's Thanksgiving football, by the way. I think everyone comes away with a little bit of some sort of injury off of that field that we've been playing on for ages.
Not when playing two-hand touch. That's some pussy ass shit.
I'm just telling you what happens. I'm not saying it's excusable. I'm not saying it's honorable.
Why can't we play tackle?
Are proud. I'm open to it.
We should play tackle.
I'm fine with that.
It's Thanksgiving football.
Yeah. All
Right?
you're going to do is sit on the couch anyway. So you may as well do it battered and bruised.
The thing is, especially
It'd
if
be
you
perfectly fine.
then you get to not do anything the rest of the day because you're hurt. So the family knows, hey, I can't help with any of this shit. I played
Honestly,
Thanksgiving. And
your
did my
adrenaline
bit.
is probably pumping so much that you're in better shape with tackle than you are with two-hand touch. Because two-hand touch, you have to very actively hold up at the end. But with tackle, you just go right through. You let your natural energy flow.
Right.
I think we should go
It's the
tackle.
way to do it. You play tackle.
Also, because no one can tackle me. That's the thing. I'm way too shifty.
This is what I like. The trash talking that starts happening.
You
with the
wouldn't be
tackle
able
thing.
to, like, I know that if you got extremely close to me, you'd be able to obviously tackle me, but you won't get close to me. Like, that's the point.
No, in this sort of scenario, I'm either rushing the quarterback
Mhm.
or I'm playing deep safety. And
we would have to throw it over you, or else.
Oh, no,
you
you're
would
fucking done.
obliterate, or else you would obliterate. Yeah, I was
you're
gonna say,
done. Nobody
deep,
has an
deep
arm.
safety.
Nobody has an arm big enough that if they do it, I can't make up that ground. And if you're the I'm fucking somebody up. I'm fucking somebody up. That's I can't wait.
Okay,
I don't
so
know if
next
you- yeah,
Thanksgiving you're
yeah.
playing deep safety. We are playing tackle. At least for like a couple plays where
We
you're
used to
playing
do
deep
that
safety.
at
How
least.
about
We were
that?
like we play like half the
This
game.
plays a tackle. This plays a tackle play. How about that? We could at least start there.
Or different rules for different guys.
I don't
I'm
know
a
how that's
tackle
gonna
guy.
go. Because you just
So,
get
like,
to tackle anybody.
I get to tackle anybody, but then you get to tackle me.
I think you need to wear like an orange penny or something like that. Similar to like, a QB wearing a red shirt. It's like, I'm a tackle guy.
No, we get a floral and butterfly print safety vest to
Jeez.
put on the two-hand touch people. And then the rest of us will do our thing. Look, I show up to Thanksgiving game wearing jeans.
I remember.
It's my in a hoodie. It's my shit. But it's been like a decade since I've been able to hit any
Let's
fucking
play
body.
tackle. You know what? We're going to motion for tackle.
Yeah,
I
but
think it'd
here's
be a lot of fun.
it's me, you, and Widge helmet at. The other guys are so terrified of the prospect of doing it.
What
it
if we
never
just
fucking gets
tackle
done.
them?
Lawsuits.
Lawsuits.
They're
You
white.
really think? Pally for life. If you are listening right now, I would love a comment on whether you would sue us for tackling you.
Black guy, brown guy. You know it has ends. I mean,
I wasn't going to say anything.
it is what it is. We're not gonna come after the pod and start lying.
Oh my gosh. It really is what it is. I do want tackle football now. That would keep me awake. I tell you what. Just
100%.
getting lit up a couple times, letting someone up a couple times. I'd be wired the rest
I
of the
never
day.
forget the hardest I ever been hit on the Thanksgiving football game was Luke Casella, and it was before we started the game. We were going heads up, and we were just running, doing drills like before the game, and me and him hit each other. Now, he's the first person ever in the Thanksgiving Day games that has ever stopped my momentum on his own. He stunned me.
Was that like a life-changing experience for you?
It was all. I'll explain.
Okay.
So I'm running, he's running, and we hit, and I get stunned back, but then momentum still carries me forward, and he just falls down.
Okay.
We concussed each other.
Oh
So
my God.
The rest of the game, you saw what two of the guys that are probably the most reliable in tackle football can't do shit. We can't catch. We can't tackle. We can't do a goddamn thing. Great day. It was a hell of a day.
That
So that was
like
the beginning and end.
an amazing day. I also wanted to mention before we hop off here, you had mentioned this was now months ago, switching gears. We were talking about Ron Rivera, his job security, stuff like that.
Yeah.
This was entering this year.
Mhm.
This is before the coaching hiring cycle occurred. You kept talking about Mike McDaniel, who is awesome. I don't know if you've seen his interview on the Pat McAfee show, where it was from March.
Oh, back then? Yeah, probably.
It's made for you. It's absolutely made for you. His mind is so fucking sharp.
I love that dude. I'll tell you, I've been saying, I've been screaming it from the rafters. This the guy. This is a guy. The Dolphins team is ahead of schedule to me. I thought it was going to take him a year.
Undefeated with Tua at QB when he finishes the game. Also, like, they look good. So you know what we'll do for the bye week episode? Instead of a preview, we could just do it around the league. What our thoughts are.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So we'll do the Monday recap, of course, and then that Thursday, Friday episode, we'll just go around the league.
We're also getting a couple weeks away from our prediction of the first names and bids are going to be coming out for the Commander stuff.
Okay. I have now got 3 missed calls from the same person, so I need to go and make sure everything's okay.
Do you think?
But yeah,
I'm going to try to get this episode up. Definitely won't be 2.
See y'all later.
Bye.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.